Your body is broken, not in a way that shows up on a blood test, not in a way your doctor would flag, but in one very specific, deeply strange way. You are biologically incomplete without technology. You cannot feed yourself. Not properly. Not enough to survive long term. Not in a way that keeps your brain running and your body functional and your fertility intact. Not without fire. Every other animal on Earth is self-sufficient when it comes to eating. A chimpanzee wakes up and eats. A gorilla finds food and eats it. A lion kills and eats. No preparation required. No technology. No process between finding the food and consuming it. You wake up and you need to cook. And if you stop cooking, if you go fully raw for long enough, your body starts to fall apart in ways that are deeply revealing about what you actually are and how you got here. This is not a story about food preferences. This is not about taste or tradition or cultural habit. This is the story of how one discovery, somewhere on the African savanna more than 1 million years ago, physically rewired the human body. Shrank your jaw. Shortened your gut. Redirected enormous biological energy from digestion to your brain. And turned you into the only creature in the history of life on Earth that genuinely cannot feed itself without a tool. Every single human culture ever discovered cooks its food. Not most. Every single one. Across every continent, every climate, every level of technological development. No exceptions have ever been found. Anthropologists have been looking for the exception for over a century. It does not exist. That is not the pattern of a cultural preference. That is the pattern of a biological requirement. Like breathing. Like sleeping. To understand why, you need to understand what the world looked like before cooking existed. About 2 million years ago, your ancestor Australopithecus was living on the African savanna, walking upright, increasingly clever, but eating exactly the way chimpanzees eat today. Raw fruit, raw roots, tough fibrous shoots and bark, whatever could be grabbed. Modern chimpanzees spend roughly half of all their waking hours chewing. Not hunting, not socializing, just chewing. Because raw food requires so much mechanical processing before the body can extract anything useful from it. Harvard anthropologist Richard Wrangham spent years studying chimpanzees in Uganda, eating the same foods they ate. He described the experience directly. The food was genuinely terrible. Hard, fibrous, bitter. He would spend 10 minutes on a single piece of wild fruit and extract essentially nothing satisfying from it. And then, he noticed something important. No human being could survive on that diet. Not just would not want to. Could not. Biologically, our jaws are too small. Our digestive tracts are too short. Our gut lacks the fermenting capacity our primate relatives depend on to extract nutrition from raw fibrous plant material. If you tried to eat like a chimpanzee, you would not gradually lose weight. You would experience a compounding caloric deficit. Your body would start breaking itself down. Your fertility would shut off. Your brain function would decline. So something changed, and the fossil record shows exactly when. Around 1.8 million years ago, Homo erectus emerged looking dramatically different from everything before it. Bigger brain, longer legs, and critically, smaller jaws, smaller teeth, and a significantly shorter digestive tract. Wrangham was staring into his fireplace in Cambridge in 1997 when the answer came to him. He published it in 1999 in the journal Current Anthropology and expanded it in his 2009 book Catching Fire. The answer was cooking, not meat eating, not better hunting. Cooking, fire applied to food before eating. And his argument was not that cooking was a useful cultural bonus that accompanied human evolution. His argument was that cooking was the engine of human evolution. We did not develop big brains and eventually figure out cooking. We stumbled into cooking, and as a direct biological consequence, our brains grew. Here is what heat actually does to food. When you apply heat to a starchy food, a potato, a yam, a grain, the starch granules inside swell and break down in a process called gelatinization. The tight structure of raw starch that blocked your digestive enzymes collapses into an open, accessible form. Your body can now extract vastly more calories from the exact same object. Heat denatures proteins in meat, unraveling their complex structures so digestive enzymes can attack them far more efficiently. It ruptures plant cell walls, releasing nutrients locked inside cellulose your digestive system cannot break through alone. Cooking is pre-digestion. You are doing the chemical work of breaking food down before it enters your body, using fire as an external stomach. Your actual gut gets a dramatically easier job and expends far less energy completing the process. More usable calories, less metabolic effort. The difference between thriving and barely surviving when calories are genuinely scarce. And then there is time. Wrangham estimates pre-cooking hominids spent close to half their waking hours chewing. After cooking became routine, that dropped to roughly 1 hour per day. 4 to 5 additional productive hours freed every single day. For hundreds of thousands of years. Think about what your ancestors did with that time. Better hunting. More sophisticated tools. Teaching skills to younger generations. Planning ahead rather than spending every available moment mechanically processing enough raw food to stay alive. Now here is where the biology becomes genuinely astonishing. Brazilian neuroscientist Susana Herculano Hausel calculated the numbers explicitly. For a gorilla to grow a human-sized brain while eating its current raw food diet, it would need to eat for an additional 2 hours per day on top of the 8 or 9 hours it already spends feeding. 10 or 11 hours of eating daily. Barely feasible. Almost no time for anything else. The math does not work for a raw food large-brained primate. The only path to a bigger brain is making food more efficient. Cooking did exactly that. Less gut. More brain. The metabolic energy saved by maintaining less digestive tissue was reallocated to the most calorie-hungry organ in the body. The human brain consumes roughly 20% of the body's total energy budget, burning 9 times more energy per unit of tissue than other body parts require. Cooking made that brain biologically affordable. The oldest confirmed physical evidence of controlled fire comes from Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, dated to approximately 1 million years ago. A 2022 discovery at Gesher Beno Yaakov in northern Israel found carefully heated fish teeth dating to 780,000 years ago, the oldest direct evidence of cooking food specifically. These dates leave a gap if cooking began with Homo erectus 8 million years ago. Wrangham's explanation is simple. Small temporary campfires in open environments leave essentially no trace after 1 million years. We should expect most of the early record to be missing. Now here is the modern proof that validates all of this. Contemporary studies of people who choose to eat entirely raw, unheated food consistently find they cannot maintain body weight without modern supplements. They burn more metabolic energy processing raw food than the nutrients extracted can cover. Up to 50% of women on strict raw diets develop amenorrhea, the cessation of menstruation. The body shuts down fertility before it shuts down anything else. A diet that stops half your reproductively capable population from having children leads directly to extinction within a generation. The human body crossed a threshold between 1 and 2 million years ago from which there was no return. It shed the infrastructure it no longer needed. Redirected that investment to the brain, and became irreversibly committed to a dietary strategy that requires technology to execute. No fire, no adequate food, no survival. And then consider what happened around the fire at night. Cooking creates a meal, a shared, prepared thing, consumed together. People gather to cook it. Fire must be tended. Someone guards it. An organizing principle emerges for who contributes and who receives. The campfire is not just a cooking surface. It is the origin of the household, the most fundamental unit of human social organization. When people gather in the evening with their caloric needs met, predators kept at distance by the flame, hours of non-chewing time available before sleep, language flourishes. Storytelling becomes possible. Planning becomes possible. Transmitting accumulated knowledge across generations becomes possible. The cooking fire did not just feed the brain. It created the conditions in which the brain could start doing everything